So the negative 1, that's how I get the I. So if I'm taking the square root of negative 300, so I have negative 1 times 300, so I'm going to simplify the 300. So I'm going to simplify that, and when I do that, I get a pair of 2's and a pair of 5's. So 2 times 5 gives me 10, and the square root of negative 1 gives me I, and then I had the 3 left over, so that has to stay under the radical. So if I fill this in, so my b squared is 36, 4 times a times c gives me 112, and 2a is 8. Now in the equation, it's a negative b, but it's negative here, so when I put it in, it's a positive 6. So I get negative 76. So this is going to give me negative 1 times 76. So I'm going to simplify the 76. So I get a pair of 2's when I simplify. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to plug this in where that was. Right? I'm going to take the simplified radical and put it in for the square root of negative 76. And when I do that, I'm going to separate the two so I can reduce it. So the first one, I'm going to get 6 over 8 plus or minus 2I times the square root of 19 over 8. I just separated so I could reduce them. So now 6 over 8 gives me 3 over 4, and 2 over 8 reduces to 1 over 4. Do I have to write the 1 down? So I'm just going to write the I times the square root of 19 over 4. And that gives you your answer. Any questions? I divided by 2 because I had 2 over 8. And so can you reduce that by 2? And this one, the 6 over 8, I could reduce by 2. Yes? Yes. Because when I take the square root, I don't know whether I'm going to add or subtract. Okay? Okay, so for this one, I get negative 2, 4, and negative 7. Okay, go ahead and fill in. So did everybody get this? So from here, and then you reduced and got 2I times the square root of 10. And that gets substituted in for the negative 40, right? So I'm going to separate these two when I do this. So I have negative 4 over negative 4 plus or minus So what is negative 4 divided by negative 4? 1. And then now what happens? So I can reduce by 2, right? So what is 2 divided by, if I reduce the 2 over 4, it becomes a half, right? But watch what happens. It's a negative here on bottom, correct? What's a positive divided by a negative? It's a negative, which is the minus part, right? But what's a minus divided by a minus? So it's the positive. So we don't need the negative anymore because it just flips the signs. All right? So when I reduce this, I get plus or minus I times the square root of 10 over 2. So once I'm at this point, I'm ready to reduce this. So I have negative 16. So this is the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 16. And the square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of negative 1 is I. So do I have any square root left? I don't. It's a perfect square. I don't. So I'm going to take this and put it for that. I'm going to replace that with this. So when I do that, I'm also going to separate the two sides so I can reduce. So I'm going to have negative 8 over 10 plus or minus 4i over 10. So when you reduce negative 8 over 10, what do we get? Negative 4/5 plus or minus. And I reduce the 4 over 10. You get 2i over 5.